All right, guys, here we are. We are live, the Kayak Adventure Series. So hopefully everyone out there is ready to chase the wild. I got Jake over here. Am I pointing the right way? Yeah. God,
Yep.
this is so weird. It's so awkward. There we go. Jake here. I can do down. Bailey, Jeff Little.
I'm gonna date
Um,
myself and say I feel like I'm on the Brady Bunch intro.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's pretty much what it looks like. So you never know, man. Some people, some people out there still remember that. So at least I'm one of them. But yeah, we're live. We're going to talk about, obviously, there's a little bit of an announcement tonight. So hopefully you guys are excited to tune in here. Oh, shoot. Is that banner running down there? We're not supposed to have that banner running yet.
Uh-oh.
All right, those were our tournaments and our events. We're going
Preview.
to announce it later. All right, we'll get it back up here later. But hey, who's tunes in for the first minute of a live anyway? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like nobody.
They're just getting the notifications right now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So we're just kind of, this is a little bit of a mini filibuster just to kind of get people like actually on the live. And I don't know, on the back of StreamYard here, Bailey, you may know. Does it tell you how many people we have on total anywhere on the in
it should
StreamYard?
give you like where your
I don't
live
see-
counter is at. It should give you should have an eyeball icon, and that should tell you as your number grows who's
I don't
popping in.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's on our screen actually on the top
Yep.
left. Okay, cool. So we've got quite a few people already. 70 up to 70. So we're getting there. But yeah, we'll get it going because this is obviously going to be kept, forever. It'll be saved and people can go back and watch it whenever they feel like it. So we want to respect everyone's time and just get to going. If you fellas, each one of you guys want to keep in touch with those comments and let's answer some questions. We got some folks already in there. Look at that. We got Van Tyne, Christine, and my wife's on. There we go. What's up upstairs? Tyler Bean, Jody Queen. I mean, we got a lot of folks already on there. So what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. My sister's on there. That's awesome. What's up, Karis? Mr. Banks and Eddie's. Good follow on social. Go check them out. Sweet. This is great, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And let's get started. Let's get started. And the thing I want to do first, and how we're going to do this, is I'm pretty much going to talk about the series, what it is. There's a lot of rumors and stuff, they've been flying around and about it, and we're going to kind of clear all that up and talk about it. And the saddest part of the whole live is that Mr. Alex Rudd is not here, guys, because he is sick. School started back, and he messaged me and Bailey, and he was like, "Lude, I'm done." He got off the water and he's just not good. He's laid on the couch. He can't hardly even move. So no problem. Alex, we'll do a live. He wanted to do a live stream with me talking about this at a later date once we've done this one. So I'm going to get on with Mr. Alex Rudd Fishing and do that with him at a separate time. But more importantly, Alex, we wish you the best, man. We love you and we hope you feel better and look forward to putting on this adventure series with you some. And, can't wait, bud.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. It takes a lot to shut up Alex, so it must be pretty bad.
Yeah, no doubt.
We'll poke fun at him while he's not here.
No doubt, we will. Exactly. Hey, that's all a little bit more of talk time for each of us. It all gets spread around because listen, I know I'm going to be speaking most of the time anyway because I kind of this is kind of my baby, and you guys have consulted with a lot of you guys that are on this and others out there that are watching. I appreciate everyone I've talked to about this and gotten your opinions. It's really been a very crowdsourced thing, even though, kind of all the concepts are sort of my baby. And so I'm going to go over and just talk about it, with you guys and you guys chime in, Jake, Jeff, Bailey. If you guys don't know, by the way, I'll just go around the horn. So Jake is, Illinois Yakin on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Where are you? Twitter, not Twitter, TikTok. That's your main platforms is Instagram and TikTok. And you are technically, sort of a quote executive producer kind of role with the Kayak Adventure Series. We'll get into more and people will figure out kind of what that means later. But you want to say hey to anybody or tell them a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Sure. I mean, I actually fish a lot in Missouri. So like I do a lot of Ozark fishing. So I do like the nitty gritty, like kayak dragging style of fishing. And I think Drew kind of saw that, and that's probably why we connected so well. And I fish out of a shoalie too, so small world.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I primarily just focus on making content. I have like 15 years of like content production experience. Via social, I've probably edited like at this point in my life like 2,000 different videos for various mediums. So a huge background in this stuff.
Nice, man. I look forward to working on this series with you, and I really appreciate all your help to this point. I've spent more time talking to Jake than anybody on this whole thing, and he's, really donated a lot of his time generously. He's got a young family like I do, so it means a
Almost
lot,
the
man.
same.
Yeah, almost the exact same ages. Everything is crazy. All the similarities, because like you said, I mean, you were fishing out of crescents before I even met you and knew you, and it's just crazy. It's like, whoa, man, this guy, cool. He also fishes out of a crescent, and you have a skill set that could be helpful for us. So I appreciate it, man. Jeff, I'll go down to you next, man. I think most folks watching this, they probably know a little bit about yourself, but tell us a little bit about what you got going on and how we can follow along.
Sales manager for Torquedo. The YouTube channel's a little stuff. It's a whole lot of river smallmouth content. So, what you have going on here is it just plays right into what the world I like to be in. It falls right in with even the Hobie Bass Open Series and filming Jody Queen down in the new and filming, the KBF National Championship last year with Russ Snyder's. I'm going to bring that to this series as well and chase people with a camera and be part of telling the story of a different format of not just tournament, but I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going to show up with a camera and
Nice.
tell stories.
Nice, man. You're really good at that, and definitely a good follow on all things social on YouTube. So, speaking of social on YouTube, this guy is making waves fast, impressively fast on all of his platforms. Bailey Egbert, tell us a little bit about what you got going on, man.
Just main deal, obviously, kayak fishing, and on the side we got Serious Angler podcast that's running hard and strong. So we cover everything fishing. That's one of the reasons, or one of the ways we met and got to where we're at now. So it's fun, man. I'm excited to dive into this tonight. Pretty exciting stuff for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, you guys check out, the Serious Angler podcast. It is definitely one of my favorites. And I love the fact that what you guys do there is cover, like you said, a little bit of everything in the sport. I mean, it's bass boat, it's kayak, it's, biologists, it's everything in between. I mean, it's everything about the sport as a whole, including something like this. So it's pretty cool. And all right, now that we have made the introductions, we will get going. And also the Paddle and Fin crew, they're on here. We're streaming to their channels too. So I wanted to thank Brian Schiller for that. He's not on, but he got us connected, wanted us to stream over there as well. And we certainly wanted to. So thank you for that. And yeah, let's get going. So what we're going to do is first, I'm going to explain and tell a little story. And this person has no idea I'm about to talk about them, a couple of the people here, but every year, and I think how there's like expos, guys, in the middle of the winter, all the fishing expos. Okay, so I go to this Columbus Fishing Expo. I get invited every year by Dustin Hoy, Raccoon Creek Outfitters, and Mark from Loveland Canoe and Kayak. Hey, come on down. I live in Ohio now, right? Northeast Ohio. So it's close and it's the winter. So why not? I go down and they get us a room and hotel. I mean, the guys are great. Dustin and the whole team over there. We're all, everyone was there. Loveland Canoe and Kayak guys, the Raccoon Creek Outfitters guys. When I say guys, the pro staff and the team that are staffing the booths at the Columbus Fishing Expo. And we're having a good time at this hotel. We just ordered some pizzas. We're playing pool. I mean, it's just, Robert Weiker's there. Ken Morris is there. I want to say, everybody that a lot of the folks you guys know associated with me, we're just having a good time. And all of a sudden, having drinks, having pizza, this guy, one of my friends from a while back and got into kayak fishing early on, and you'll see kind of how and why, comes up to me, and his name is Reed Carpenter. And you guys may know Reed, works for Venom Lures, does a lot of good stuff, and he's on Raccoon Creek Outfitters pro staff, right? And he comes up to me, he says, Drew, he puts his hand on me, had a few drinks, he's just, everyone's feeling kind of good and happy. And he says, hey, man, I just want you to know, everybody here, we would not be here if it wasn't for you. So I just wanted to thank you. And I was like, dude, just quit, whatever. You're just kind of blowing smoke, just trying to be, whatever. And I was like, what are you talking about? Everyone's here because of me. You guys invited me, and got me the room, and I'm speaking at this show. He was like, no, you don't understand. Like, you ran river bass and you started that tournament trail. And Dustin Hoy, who we all work for as pro staff at Raccoon Creek, went to that event and wasn't really big into kayaking or kayak fishing, was like, let me see what this is about. And he was in some cheapo kayak and he fished it and he fell in love with it. He was like, this is incredible. Like, I want to keep doing this. So he kept fishing those events and he fell in love with kayak fishing so much to where he started an outfitter in Ohio that's all about kayaking and kayak fishing. And then when he did that, he hired myself and all these other people to, as part of his pro staff. And then it just hit me. I was like, man, how many people that we affected positively, and just forget fishing, just in the world, just human beings that we affected positively from putting on just that, river bass and tournament trail, which, I mean, is river focused back in its day. It had 50 to 100 people, most events. So pretty decent turnouts for a little bit ahead of its time kind of thing. But you might say that's not that many people, but look at the people that I personally now know. They're all having a good time and their lives got changed because of that, the friendships that were formed. And I was like, man, that hit me. And then my wife said, and people have been bugging me all the time, man, start something like river bassing again, do something again. We really, miss that. We miss that fellowship and the camaraderie and the, kind of the old boondoggles and the river bass and rodeos we used to do. They miss that. And my wife said, and by the way, I'm not fishing tournaments anymore, guys. That's just, I hate to break that to you too. I'm still going to keep fishing tournaments, even though we're kind of running this new thing. But she was like, hey, you've had a lot of fun fishing tournaments. You've been very successful, but it's great for us and personally, but there's never been a better way to impact more people in their lives than doing what you did back in the day. Right. So with river bassing and all that. So it's always tugged in my heart, man, life's just more about just me and my family. And obviously that's the priority, right, for all of us. But the fact that I was able to impact so many people's lives, I mean, the folks over there, and who knows how many more stories are like that from Reed Carpenter, and who knows how many people they've affected because of that. It just blew me away. And I said, man, we got to, you guys remember kayak fishing early on. It was, and it still is very much about this. I'm not saying it's not, but it certainly was a big part and one of the things that draws people to this sport. So we wanted to bring something back that has more of a festival feel to it, yet there's still competitive, part of it as well. And so that's my story on kind of where this, kind of came from. And all you guys have been bugging me about river bassing and bringing something back. You finally wore me down and here we are. So anybody got any comments on that?
I think you just made yourself a little segue there to kind of lead into what's this all about. We got comments in, people asking what's the big thing, Drew. So
all right. I'll dive into it. Before I do, I will say, Jake, you're logged in as an admin. So if you want to click show on any of the comments that anything you see over there, that's you're welcome to tap those in anytime and pipe them in. So, all right, let's get to it. So the Kayak Adventure Series, I got like notes somewhere. I don't want to miss anything here. So I'm going to kind of just briefly talk about, it's a unique format and it's going to be a day and a half of fishing. So it's a very interesting format. It's a day and a half of format. I'm going to walk you guys through an entire weekend of what a tournament, festival, whatever you want to kind of call it. It's a combination, how it works. That way I don't miss anything. So we're going to walk through the weekend, but it's Friday and Saturday. That's the format. Friday and Saturday. You say, well, why in the world are you going to do a tournament that start, a half a day on Friday and Saturday? Well, it's for a few reasons, but just so you know, we're going to fish at 3 p.m. on Fridays, 3 to 7. So we did this. It's kind of unique and different because you're going to get more fishing than just one day, right? But if you do 2 days and you do it Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, a lot of folks are gone and they're headed home to work, right? On Sunday, they got to leave. They got to get home for work on Monday. So not a lot of people are there cheering on their friends and, who are cashing checks and, in the money, if you will. And we wanted to not just do one single day because it's like, man, you travel so far away to adventure in these cool parts of the country and cool places we're taking everyone. And one day is just not, it doesn't feel like quite enough, so we wanted to somehow get a little bit of extra fishing in there. So that's why we're doing this 3 o'clock to 7 on Friday. And then the other reason is we wanted to have a twist of an afternoon evening bite. and it gets a weekday and afternoon evening bite, which is a different strategy, and it also hopefully is less, hopefully less local traffic because it's a Friday. But it's just kind of different because it's a 4-hour window. So let's say you got a float on a river or something you were planning on doing that would a long run on a lake. It would take a long time. You can't do that on your Friday. So it's a whole unique, different like set of strategy on that Friday of fishing. So it's cool having that. And then Saturdays all day. But the main big reason is, again, I'm trying to find ways for people to get together, to create relationships, bond, fellowship, their families to meet each other, their wives, their kids, or whatever. Like everyone kind of come together. So we needed to end on Saturday so that everyone is still there on Saturday at the awards for our big celebration, festival, after party, you name it, which we'll get into later. But backing up before that, again, I'm kind of trying to start, going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, backing up before Friday's fishing even starts. That allows us to have an opening ceremony celebration on Thursday. And some of you guys might say, well, man, like I got to take off, Friday and whatever. But we figured that most people are at tournaments, whether it's a, regional tournament or national, whatever, most people are there already on Thursday night because they want at least one day to pre-fish on Friday. So in this case, it wouldn't be to pre-fish per se, but because the tournament starts on Friday at 3, so you cannot pre-fish before 3. But at least they're already there and they can be part of the festivities, on the opening ceremonies, which opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies are very similar. The socials, if you will, it's food trucks. Food trucks, live music, games, bouncy houses for the kids. On Saturdays, socials, if you will, it's going to be Toyota truck demos, kayak demos, things going on like that. Just a lot of fun activities going on for the entire family. And as you start to get back on Saturday for that, closing ceremonies and the awards. But anyway, backing up, so it allows us to have an opening ceremonies on Thursday all together, to come together at your pre-tournament, sort of meeting, if you will. There's not going to be a lot of discussions or rules and things like that, because all that's going to be done more like online, virtually. And of course, it's going to be on the website where you can read the rules, and it's your job to understand those rules. So there will be a question and answer time, but mainly it's just about, let's just hang out and have fun together and get checked in, right? Check in with us. And I think I've got it. We'll see if this ends up working out, but it looks like we're going to have gift bags for the first X number of entries. It could be 100. And the gift bags are going to have like $100 worth of stuff in them from our sponsors. It's going to be significant. So to really encourage folks to get it, get registered early and give them something, in return for doing that. So you're going to come to the opening ceremonies. It's fun, celebration. You get to see everyone and everything you love about kayak fishing and the community and your family, so to speak. And then, I'm trying to think. There's one other main thing about Thursday I can't think of right now, but there will be, if you have questions, if you're new to this whole thing, there will be a question and answer session there. So that'll be a fun time on Thursday. Oh, the main thing about Thursday is there's no reason not to be there, because you can't get up, or be there and hang out and be a part of the fun, even hang out late into the night. And I always joke with people and say, look, if you find yourself out a little too late on Thursday and it's 1 and 2 a.m. and you're pushing each other in the bushes, having fun, it's not going to affect your performance on the water. It's not going to be a big deal because we don't start until 3 p.m. on Friday. So sleep it off, next day, relax. But you're still allowed to, drive around and scout and run shuttles and do other things on Friday. And we hope you potentially do another thing that we have planned on Friday morning. And that is I'm not going to say who the sponsor is going to be of this yet, but I wish I could, because it's going to fit perfectly. But we're going to have a breakfast or brunch. It's optional, totally optional on Friday. So if you want to come together with everybody at a specific restaurant or venue where we're going to have these brunches or breakfast from 10 to 12, you can show up, and guess what's going to happen there? You're going to hear a seminar from someone like a Jeff Little, from someone that we bring in that's a special guest. So as you eat breakfast and kind of recover from the night before and hang out with your friends, you're going to hear a seminar and learn more about the sport you love, kayak fishing, and how to catch these finicky bass that always seem to fool us and whatnot. So that's going to happen on Friday. It's totally optional. So if you want to sleep in, have nothing to do with that, that's fine. There's a lot of rigging. I know tournaments, there's a lot of stuff to do. So you don't have to come to that if you don't want to. But we are going to encourage you to bring your rods and reels if you want and spool up. You can do stuff during the seminars, no big deal. And that'll probably end at noon. So you still have 3 more hours until you have to be on the water when that ends. Then you're on the water 3 to 7, like I talked about. And then the next day on Saturday is nothing really happens on, Friday night other than we'll go live and kind of recap what's going on, which is probably a good time to mention that it's a 5 fish limit for both days. So 5 fish over both Friday and Saturday. So no need to save fish and no need to stress if you thought an area was good on Friday, you go to the spot you thought was good, based on your pre-fishing. And let's say it gets blown out or flooded or something happens and it's not good, or you just caught one good fish there in practice and it fooled you. It's not good. It gives you a chance to recover and just make a better decision on day 2 on Saturday and just recover. So, a lot of folks out there might feel like, man, I have a hard time catching 5 fish in a tournament. It's tough. I'm new to this. It's not, it's just challenging for me. So this gives everybody out there an extra 4 hours to do that. So that's the kind of the positive on it. And you never have to save fish. Just keep fishing hard constantly. Now, somebody could certainly win the whole thing and just blow it out just in the 4 hours on Friday, but that's no different than somebody winning a tournament or blowing it out in the first hour or 2. And we see on the TourneyX leaderboard, oh, this one's over, so that's just going to happen in any tournament. That could potentially happen. But I just think it really is nice for beginners to have a chance to recover. Someone who just, not even beginners, I mean, anybody who's even a seasoned angler makes mistakes and they just make the wrong decision. But the other cool thing, and I'll tell a story about my buddy Robert Weicker. He was fishing a KBF tournament earlier this year with me in Florida, and he pre-fished on Friday on a lake he'd never fished before to see what it was like for the tournament. And he had another spot he already thought was going to be good. He catches a 10-pounder. And why am I bringing this up? Well, in this tournament trail, you can treat Friday like another practice day in that 4 hours. You can say, you know what, I want to go somewhere. I haven't had a chance to check this area out yet or this place. And it's not going to kill you because you still have all day Saturday. But whatever you do catch on Friday, it's going to your stringer. It counts. And maybe you hit the jackpot and you're like, wow, now I got something else to add to my arsenal on Saturday, or a better spot that's going to be all day Saturday. So you can even still use that as a quasi practice day. All right. Should I keep going, guys? So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then Saturday comes around. It's typical all-day fishing, from whatever, 30 minutes before sunrise or sunrise until 3 p.m. Now, meanwhile, back at tournament headquarters, we're going to have, the food trucks and the music and everyone getting ready, the games, kayak demos with any of the kayak dealers we're partnering, with, that carry, a lot of the brands that are going to be sponsors of this tournament series. That's all kind of kicking back up at tournament headquarters at like 2. I haven't decided yet, 1 or 2 o'clock. Most of the anglers will get back if fishing ends at 3 o'clock. Most anglers, based on in the past with river bass, and if you ended a tournament at 3, most people will start showing up by anywhere around 2:30 until later, like 4:30 or so, if they have a shuttle to run and they have a long paddle or motor off the water or whatever. So we have the whole thing starting from 2 and 2 o'clock for the local community, for your friends and family who are part of the event. Again, kids want to get in their bouncy house. I mean, come on, you got to get that stuff going. So people want to get in kayaks and go test them out. So we're going to get that rolling, and then you just return and show up to the party whenever you get back there, because we don't start our awards until 6 p.m. So we end the festivities at the festival, if you will, at 5:30. We all head over to the awards, and this is where it gets even cooler. The awards are going to be held in these historic sort of downtown theaters that all of our, local communities, the small, medium-sized cities we're going to have, the cool ones with the marquee and the lights, and it's just kind of unique and renovated for that cool downtown that maybe has some nice restaurants here, a brewery over here. So that's kind of where the awards are going to be held. And we're all going there so that we can, get in the air conditioning, have a real comfortable place in a consistent place across the series where our awards are going to be held. And also, it's cool because you guys are going to get to be on some pretty cool stages, some pretty cool historic theaters with some interesting architecture and lighting, and just it's going to be really cool for the winner and the winners plural, when they hold those trophies up, because it's just a cool stage and a cool place to be, and everyone's going to be in there packed, and of course they allow food and drinks, so you're going to be just having a good time, and the party's just going to keep rolling. And speaking of Alex Rudd earlier, he's going to be on stage with me. We're going to be emceeing this event. We're going to try to keep it light, keep it fun, for you guys. I know a lot of folks have maybe never fished at an event like this or been on a stage like that. So we'll try to keep it fun and just laid back and get you on stage, get everyone laughing and have a good time. And the coolest part about the theater is the fact that we have this giant screen right there, huge screen that projects in nice HD, where we can put up pictures and videos of what happened during the weekend on the screen. So when your name is called and it's, time for you to go across the stage, so we can pick on somebody. There's Jake Harshman. Okay. I see him in the comments. So Jake Harshman, right? Boom. He comes across the stage, 6th place. We have a picture and or video of at least one of his big catches of the weekend there. And you may ask, well, how in the world are you going to get that? Well, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back of river bassin days, I used to take SD cards from people's cameras, stick them in a computer, pull the photos off, put them in a PowerPoint, and had a big screen. We did this at Bass Pro Shops. The very first few years, Bass Pro Shops was the headline sponsor. Right in front of their aquariums, we'd have a big screen and chairs set up, and we would show pictures of their fish. And now all we're doing is adding in potentially the video component, because we have the pictures through TurnDX. We've got it. So the video is going to come from you guys, because most of you guys are filming these days. And trust me, GoPro is going to be a big part of this. I'm going to talk more about sponsors at a later date, but GoPro is a gigantic part of this whole thing. And that's the best product, best camera to use, the best, quality. I've been with those guys for a long time. I think everyone knows that. And we're going to be able to take your clips, your clips, and put them on the big screen, your best clip, for those who are just walking across the stage. And it gives us something to watch, something to talk about. And it's just pretty cool to have that right behind you on that big screen as we talk about that catch pretty instant from the day. And so that's kind of the deal with the screen. The other thing I wanted to mention about filming, you guys filming yourselves, we're going to have people filming. So Jake's the executive producer, and he and myself and have a crew, and Jeff Little. You've talked about your passion right already about following us around. You're going to be one of our crews that are going to follow anglers around, and you're going to film them some, yes, photographs, video, but more it's about supporting anglers that we follow, the ones that we're picking to follow, which we'll know. That's another reason why Friday is important. Friday kind of lets us know who's on some fish, so we can follow the top anglers around on Saturday. And that's where we could send Jeff and some folks to follow those top anglers around to get great video and pictures of you guys on the water, doing your thing, having a good time. And then we'll be able to take all the footage from my crew, all of our guys, and also your video. And we're going to have a place on our website where you guys can submit footage to us in small clips. We don't need a lot. We just need your best fish catch, here or there. And we're going to turn it into a TV show. Every one of these tournaments, all 6 will be an episode. And right now it's looking like our TV partner will be My Outdoor TV. So it's going to show up on an episode of the show there. So it's kind of cool. So if you know these things in advance, that, hey, my video could be on the big screen at the theater, and I also am going to potentially be on a TV show, you guys tell us in the comments, would that maybe nudge you a little bit harder to, maybe I should record myself, maybe I should film myself? And I think the answer is probably yes. Everyone I've talked to, it has been. So if you guys get good shots, we want them, and we're going to use them and put you in the show, put it on the big screen when Alex and I bring you across the stage. So
Drew, there is a good question here, just to go with that while you're on that topic. Are you going to live stream the ceremony?
We are going to live stream the ceremony, and that's another good time to thank Brian Schiller from Paddle and Fin. Sounds like he's going to be at several of these, if not, or most of them. And of course, Jake, between he and Jake and a few others we're working with, we are going to have the audio visual dialed, and we're going to be able to have a mic that works, for the theater, that you guys in the theater can hear, and then also a mic that's working to go to the live stream. So we're going to attempt to live stream it. And the cool thing about the live stream is using StreamYard like we're using right now, we're going to be able to pull in the same videos we were able to show on the big screen. Someone watching it's not just going to see a video of the theater and then the screen, and it's a glare and it's hard to see what's actually being shown on the screen. It's going to, of course, cut to your screen that you're watching from home to the actual video of that person catching that fish as we're watching it on the screen behind us, if that makes sense. So it's pretty cool. We'll see how all that plays out. So again, this is a super preliminary, the very first sort of introduction of this whole thing. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that is the plan. And trust me, if we can put a man on the moon, I'm pretty sure we can make that happen. So any other questions that you guys think I should hit now? Oh, there's Reed. Look at Reed's in here, man. Thank you, Reed, for talking to me that day and telling me how much it's impacted your life, man. That's pretty cool. It definitely has impacted mine as well. I think every one of us could agree. Kayak fishing has impacted us all positively. And man, to be able to keep that and bottle that up inside of us and keep it for ourselves would just be wrong. So we want to share this with the masses and help everyone have a good time at these events. You guys can all connect. Let's see. All right. Well, I'll keep moving if
I think you're doing. We got Brandon Hua in the chat saying he's going to move out east. So I say you're on a good roll.
Hey, maybe we'll get out west, Brandon. Maybe we'll get out west.
It seems like everybody
hosted me on his home water, the Columbia River, and what an amazing fishery that was.
It is.
We Jameson and I were out there and for his TV show, and like I remember sitting in the mouth of one of the backwaters, and inside of 45 minutes, it was a mid-90s total, and it was just flushing out. But
it's incredible.
Brandon Waz is a stick, and hope he does come east and participate in this.
I got to hang with him at ICAST. A very positive, the kind of people that I think are going to be attracted to this series. A very positive person, and I'd love to get out west one day. It's probably not a spoiler because I think people probably realize that when you first start a tournament series for bass, probably not going to start originally out west. We got to get a foundation, but we want to get out there and make something happen. I was talking to Amanda Brandon about just the other day, like, man, she's out there now, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. And this is probably a good time because someone has made a comment about love to see, what was that? I think you guys just put that comment up there, some sleeper rivers.
Yeah.
But the premise on this whole series, guys, is it's Kayak Adventure Series. It's all about exploring and adventuring. And the reason I got into kayak fishing, why I fell in love with it, I know it's why Jeff got into it. It's just it's like, I don't know, just that adventure and exploration. That's kind of where we're going, to new places where you can adventure and explore. But this is something we don't have to get into fully now. But as terms of a rule set, looking at Bailey over here, Bailey loves to do that too, but he loves to explore in a little bit different way, in an open water, more offshore, in a lake with electronics. And that's like, so many people love that part of fishing. That's a different game in itself, to use the electronics to find the fish. So we're going to allow, rivers and lakes are going to be in play at all of our stops. And just so you know, everyone watching, stick around. We're going to tell you everywhere we're going, except for the championship, on this podcast tonight. So you're going to know where we're going. And they are going to be sleeper rivers and lakes. We're going to places that are new, we've never been to before, because that's the kind of person I think that is probably going to be attracted to this series. Like, hey, I want to fish new places and have new adventures, and there's too many new incredible fisheries all across the U.S. to not just keep going to new ones. And we're not going to the same ones year after year. So feel free to share your videos, and it doesn't matter what landmarks are behind you, because we're not going back there for 4 years or whatever. For 3-4 years, probably most likely at minimum. So sleeper places are where we're going. We might expose some, but we're trying to create, the Susquehanna River, everyone's known it's always world-class river, but kayak fishing terms in the world with, Hobie and Bassmaster and everybody going there, we realize now, like, that's one of our kayak fishing's lake forks, if you will. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, dude, you got to almost go there every year. It's incredible. It's going to get good turnouts. The fishing is amazing. The ecosystem is just so unique. So we want to find more of those, if that makes sense. That's what the Kayak Adventure Series is going to be doing, exploring and adventuring to all these new places. And we're going to create this playing field for you. In other words, we may not go to a place that has one lake that's 15 or 20,000 acres. We're talking about going to places that have multiple lakes that are anything from a small, horsepower or just paddle power only lake in the area just to, bigger size ones too that are 10, 15, 12,000 acres. But, some of our events you're going to see have multiple lakes and bounds and like many up to like 7 or 8 or 9. And you just get to choose which one, you can fish. It's no different than the Harris chain or the Kissimmee chain. You got to pick which lake to pre-fish. You can't fish them all, where to go. And now you just have that sort of playing field boundary, if you will, of the water that's in bounds, listed for you. And the way we do it is we list on the website, which will be live in September. We're going to make the website live in September. It's already built and done, but we're going to list all of your core rivers and lakes. And a core river and lake, you're going to have, when you see the map, there's going to be if there's a boundary on it at all, a stopping point, a launch boundary, then that'll be listed. Other than that, if it's in between, two launch boundaries, an upstream and a downstream, and obviously lakes, you can fish all over. Then if it's a river and it's an upstream and a downstream launch boundary, anything that flows off of that, it's free flowing off of that, is all fair game. And you will be able to use motors. You will be able to use your Torpedo, whatever, you got, Bailey, good news. You can use however many graphs you want and however many sonars you want. It's all good to go. It's like you choose your adventure in the Kayak Adventure Series. However, and I think, from some of my, success has probably even shown this, and that if the rules are kind of made the way we've made them, no one's really and there's no advantage or disadvantage for anybody. It's just, you just choose your style. You just go with whatever you love. So, because let's think like there's a disadvantage to having a heavy kayak where you have to launch it at a boat ramp. Yeah, you may have a motor and you may have all the graphs, which are giving you an advantage when you get to certain areas or to get somewhere quickly. But someone with a little $300, $400, $500 cheapo and a paddle and 2 rods that can launch from any public access point, which is the way our rules are going to be, they could slide in somewhere and get to where you were going to go a little quicker. And yeah, once that first spot and they got there and fished a little bit before you did with the motor gets used up, so to speak, yeah, maybe then the person with the motor has a little bit of an advantage, but that person can also pull it out and go do that somewhere else or go drop into a creek or somewhere that a person with a motor or a big pedal drive kayak or whatever, maybe doesn't have, the ability to do, right, from the riprap, the access, which is awesome because we want a tournament to be won by someone in a $300, $400, $500 kayak and 2 or 3 rods in a creek. And then we want the next one to be won with someone who has all the electronics and maybe they've spent $20,000 on the rig. That's exciting. If in the video, in our TV show and in the awards, it'd be cool if the top 10 was littered with people that were fishing so many different ways. Somebody fishing the bank of the lake, someone fishing on a river, someone in a creek, someone using the electronics. That to me is the beauty of kayak fishing, the diversity of it. And it's what Alex and Rudd and I talked about on one of his podcasts that got a lot of traction. You guys can go back and listen to it. The diversity of the whole thing of kayak fishing is really shown really well when, the top 10 is littered with results like that. So that's kind of the exciting part about being able to fish any style and format and way possible. I know people out there, some people were thinking, oh man, we don't want to, I wish motors weren't around or involved, but man, the way these things are built these days, I've got a Torpedo and dude, you could get to almost anywhere in those things. And it's pretty darn cool and fun and exciting. And it helps you catch more fish. A lot of times it does and bigger fish. So not always. Cause like I said, I really didn't use a motor with all the success I had, like really ever, any of the events, never, or a fish finder. So it's just kind of cool that we can open it up like that. And, everyone has a chance to use it if they want to use it or not. So that's your choice, your preference. Equal opportunity. Yes, there goes Steve Baker just said equal opportunity. Yes. Let's go. So I was kind of getting to something else and kind of sidebarred, but on where it was. It's hard to put this all in concisely here in the right order. So let's talk about the rules and the format. Okay, there's going to be in the division. So there's going to be a 2-man team division. So back with River Bassin, I did a 2-man team division, and that's one of the things people love the most about it. The camaraderie with having that person they get to travel with, they get to go with. You don't have to fish with them. I mean, Tim Perkins and Lance Cooley won who knows how many events and AOIs, and they never fished with each other. It's kind of nice to have that camaraderie, and if you want to fish together, you can. So that is the 2-man team division. And there's a question here. It says, is this going to be like a full tournament series with an AOI or just individual events? It will be a full tournament series. It's only 6 events, 5 regular season and a championship, but it will have an AOI component and a team of the year component to it as well. So, and it's not going to be really tough to qualify for that AOI. It's just 3 events total, but one of those has to be the championship. So that means 2 events plus a championship. So you could fish 3, that way you got a mulligan. You could fish, 4, have a couple mulligans. But, as you can imagine, when we get to the stops here in a minute, 6 events across the country, when you spread them out, and that's the way Bassmaster is, right? It's 6, 5 in the championship. They're pretty, we want to reach as many people as we can. So they're kind of spread out. But most people will be close enough to where they can get to 2, and then fish the championship, which is centralized. I'm not going to tell you guys where the championship is. That's the only one we're not going to reveal, but it's centralized in the U.S. So it's, not like way on the outskirts of somewhere. But good question.
Drew, somebody asked about entry fees and just, what does it cost to register and show up and be part of this as a competitor, but also, just.
Yeah. That's a good question. So it's only going to be $150, $150 for the individual division and $150 for the team, but it's a 2-man team. So that's $75 a person. And you don't have to enter, both of them. You could just enter the team division. So that's just $75 and you're in the game for the whole weekend, having fun for just $75. So that's the entry fees. The youth is going to have a lower entry fee, but they're going to be competing with, everybody as well. We're going to give them a chance to compete for everything, but we just want to encourage them to enter events, of course. And so we're going to have a little bit lower price point for the youth. And we are going to recognize the top youth on stage, as well as the top teams, of course, the individuals, top lady angler as well. We're going to do that like we did at River Bassin and just kind of, I think there's one other category. We'll get to that category. I think Jake knows what I'm talking about. We'll get the other category we'll recognize on stage too. But that's the cost. The other thing we will do, Batteries Plus stores, Batteries Plus Sunday side pot tournament. So if you just want to come and on Saturday, see some of your heroes, kayak fishing celebrities, heroes that are going to be there, show up on Saturday for the festivities, come to the theater, have a good time, wake up on Sunday and fish the Batteries Plus Sunday side pot. It's just $20 to enter. You're going to win a nice, several nice size gift cards to Batteries Plus stores. It might come in handy for some lithiums, some X2 lithium batteries, but they sell there. But at very minimum, you could just come and just be there for the weekend, just spend that $20 on that, or just come just to hang out for the weekend. You don't have to even fish anything. But in terms of the entry fees, $150 and $150. So pretty simple. But the other thing we're going to recognize on stage is the micro bag division. So this is a fun one, guys. The micro bag is your smallest 5 limit. And so what that is, it's a minimum of 5 inches. So we wanted to make sure the fish could be big enough to really see. And a lot of the catch boards start at 5. Some of them do when they have a logo there. And we needed them to be big enough to where you could see if it's a duplicate fish or something like that. So 5 inches is the minimum. So you're going for a 25, holy grail, 25-inch bag is a micro bag. Now, why do we have this in there? And what is the prize going to be? Well, it's actually a substantial, like, monetary prize, because we want this to be substantial. Because, like, think about it right now. Like, if you travel so far, you've put in all the time, money, effort, lodging, everything to make this happen. And sometimes we just have bad days in the water. Things just don't go our way. Well, you can always switch gears. Say, I'm done with it. Because what's more fun than just catching fish, numbers of fish, right? You get more numbers of fish when you're targeting small ones, right? So if nothing else, you can target the 5 smallest and then potentially win that or be in the money for that category, because it's actually interesting, because it's just as challenging as to catch a 5-inch bass, it's more challenging to catch a 5 than it is a 10 or a 6 or 7 than it is a 10 or 11-inch bass. Just the same way it's more challenging to catch a 23-inch bass than it is a 17 or 16 or 17 or 18. It works the same way. They're harder to find because they're only that big for so long. They're harder to and keep hooked because they have very thin mouths, so it's hard to get them in. It doesn't work real easily. So with the hook, so
they're harder to measure too.
Yes,
that's the challenge, because I caught a 5-inch smallmouth on my last trip, and measuring it, hardest thing I've ever done. Getting it to like stay there just wasn't happening.
Exactly. So
and I caught that on a big whopper plopper. So like it's not, you don't necessarily have to downsize.
That's right.
I'm thinking
Dwayne.
I'm thinking trout magnets and fly rods are going to win that. But
yeah, I think some fly rods are going to be a part of this. And somebody did ask you Tourney X for fishing cows. We're going to use Tourney X, and I talked to Dwayne, and he's going to have he thinks he can do it, no problem. Just have different leaderboards down the Tourney X, and you're going to see, individual, team, your best 10 fish for the team division, and then your, youth, micro bag, and all that. So the only difference is, and we don't have to get into all the detailed rules about this, but people are probably already thinking this, like we're going to round up for micro bag, not down. So for your measuring your fish, you cannot try to make your fish, smaller and pull that tail and all, do whatever you're trying to do. We're going to round up. So just lay it on there and just have fun, because you're going to at least catch more fish targeting small fish and get that heart pounding feeling of you're in a tournament. It could matter, for a little bit of money you could win. And it's going to be crazy to see someone's YouTube video or GoPro footage in the big screen, or they share it on social media, and they're like just fist pumping, going nuts when they flip a little 5-6-inch bass in the boat and they see it actually hits that number that they're looking to hit. That's going to be pretty wild. And it also lets us fish some new creeks and places and small, teeny little places that have never been touched before. And who knows how many people out there are going to be targeting that category, because you could also win both. You guys there? Everyone just kind of reset. You guys all there?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
You could also win both divisions. You could be that good. I mean, that's like if somebody out there at any event wins the team division, the individual, and the micro bag, like, my goodness, they are quite an angler to be able to pull that off in a day and a half. And that's something that in the half day, I think some people may even say, you know what, maybe on Friday I just go micro bagging. I'm going to try just for 4 hours.
Are you coining that term, micro bagging?
I guess I just did. I don't know. I'm going to go micro bagging on Friday. And if I happen to catch a big fish, and that's going to happen too, someone's going to try to go micro bag and think they're out of the tournament, and they're going to be throwing some little bug or something, and they're going to hook it to a 19. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, I'm back in the game on the other side. So now what I do, it's just creating fun out of this whole thing. That's all the micro bag is. And I just hate it when they get to a tournament. Unfortunately, things don't go their way. And next thing you know, they're trunk slamming in the middle of the day or before the tournament's even over. And they're just like, I'm done. It's over. It's a 2-day tournament, and they're gone and they're back home. And we just want to give them another category to be able to still be in the game and be a part of something fun, and then have them be able to come back, because it's just Saturday when the tournament ends, be able to come back to some good food, to some friends they probably need to see, to laugh a little bit about what went wrong when they had a bad day. There's no better way to kind of get that off your mind than to come hang out, come into a theater, and just have fun with this whole thing. So anyway, somebody else asked a question too. I wanted to touch on it. I'm going to try to find it. Someone started. When do you guys start it? Probably you, Jake. Any thoughts on live scope banning? No, we're not going to do that, because like I said, I mean, myself and many others, when the rules are the way we kind of have them set, you can, like, live scope is not necessary in a lot of places, like little backwaters and shallow waters and places kayaks can get, and the places you're allowed to get in this tournament, and creeks and rivers, it is like not necessary whatsoever. Like, so you can go over there and compete against folks that have live scope, because quite frankly, it almost is necessary on the high pressured lakes. So if we're going to have lakes and bounds, if you eliminated that stuff like motors and live scopes, I mean, hardly anybody would fish the lakes. I mean, those fish are very much more pressured and targeted. So I feel like that technology almost like levels it out with the other style of kayak fishing that we're allowing too. It kind of like balances it. And quite frankly, the ones who are the best at the electronics and the live scoping, and the ones that are the best at the wild waters kind of stuff, and they're going to each have a chance to win. Whoever just has the best day and executes has kind of, they're right neck and neck, you know what I mean? But I think if you take that away from them, to compete against other bass boats on lakes and other people that'll be out there on a Friday and Saturday, I mean, and to fight the wind and everything, man, it's a motor is nice, but to be able to have that little teeny kayak to put in at little coves and bounce around in that lake and pack up, in your truck and move to little spots and backwaters, that's the advantage of that little boat too. So I think if you have it set up the way we do, and I think we have it set up right, it can all play, and you just choose your style. So,
well, you're not going to win the micro bag with live
right,
scope
let's
either.
get on. That's true. Can't see anybody live scoping for the micros.
But you never know.
You never know. You could go find the right dock where they spawn and look for the teeniest little specks on there. I think maybe those are bass. That's going to be the hard part too. You're going to be catching all the bluegill and brim and other species when you're trying to micro bag. All right. We're going to have, here's a category I really am excited about. It's the bounty bass. There's going to be a bounty put on a bass that I'm going to tag in the witness of the DNR and presence of the DNR and everything in a undisclosed location, obviously in the entire boundaries. And we may do several bass, but at least one bass, and it's going to have a bounty put on it. And I'm hoping it's going to be in the 5 figures. And you will have to be recording and film it from cast to catch to get the 5 figures. If you catch it and you weren't filming it from cast to catch, you're still going to win, well over $1,000. We're going to put some amount on that fish, but there's a bounty on a bass, if not multiple bass. Again, I hope someone at some point, catches it, and we, have to pay out a hefty sum to somebody to just one got lucky and won a ton of money just on catching one, lucky fish. So that'll be kind of fun. That's another way to just kind of keep you out there, keep you fishing. So, now here's something cool. There's going to be a kayak manufacturer sponsor for every tournament stop. That's the way it's looking now. We just had New Canoe was the latest one to come on board and say, man, we're excited about this. We're going to, we're all in. So for example, at one event, we're going to raffle off a New Canoe. In every event that's headline sponsored by that kayak manufacturer, we're going to raffle off a kayak. So it doesn't go to the winner, but we're raffling it off for pediatric cancer. That's our charity and our cause for this first year. And that's, if Alex Rudd was here, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on his podcast, it's definitely a cause that's near and dear to his heart. So we're going to give to, I think it's the Punt Foundation. We're going to give to them through this and that raffling of that kayak. And that's kind of what that's going to be for. But I'm excited that a different kayak manufacturer, because we want to highlight as many, kayak manufacturers, and we're welcoming all of them, any of them to come, be a sponsor as possible, because, we want to make this just as welcoming to everybody, so, and of course, if we can raise money for cancer, that's even better. And I remember our little daughter, Sophia, she was in the NICU, and we just passed by all these little babies every day visiting her, and just some of them didn't have anyone there really, visiting them, and they just were so helpless. And I was like, man, I wish I could just hold every one of these little babies, dude. And I was, anyway, just love on them, and that kind of tugged at my heart. And then when I found out the whole pediatric cancer and what the Punt Foundation does and gets funding and gets, finances to, let's say that the parent might have to leave work or whatever because their child has cancer, and insurance doesn't cover certain things and whatnot, so they have to like literally be home to take care of their kid. Well, it doesn't cover the income they're losing, that parent's losing. So that Punt Foundation helps get money back to families that are really in need of that, because they lost a whole income with some one of the parents in that family. So we're going to get money for them, raise money for that. And at every one of these events, we're inviting the local river keepers to come and raise awareness and funding for the river keepers as well. So taking care of the places we love. Let's see. The next one we've already talked about. Okay, here's 2 other things we're going to not list off everything that's different, and unique about the series, but 2 things I thought were cool to talk about. When I go through the rules and just thought about everything, and again, my background, if people don't know this, is in sports management. That's where I got my master's in sports management. I ran sports leagues for 5 years at the collegiate level before I was doing fishing stuff for a living. So I've done this a lot, and I've thought really hard, like, why are certain rules? I read through all the rules from bass boat tournaments to kayak tournaments, and I thought, why are certain things allowed and not allowed, And then it hit me. I was like, I'm excited. I love it when I'm out there fun fishing and a big smallmouth is chasing the other smallmouth or shoal bass that I've got hooked or spotted, Alabama bass spotted. It happens with anything, largemouth too. Other fish are chasing it. And back when I was fun fishing, I would just throw another rod out there and hook this other bass that was chasing it because it was bigger. Or I just want to catch 2 at a time because it would be fun. And so we're going to allow 2 rods to be used at once because it's going to be fun. And we want you guys to film your adventures. We want to put that on the big screen. And there's a reason why Major League Fishing lets them call that once a whatever it is period too. It's exciting. This is a TV product, guys. We're going to be on TV. We're going to put you on the big screen. So let's get you guys, let you do it. Have fun doing it. And that also means leading into my other sort of rule that's different. I thought it would be interesting for people. We're going to allow trolling. Like, why not? So now you can troll with 2 rods at a time. Like, why not troll? Because it's not some great, huge advantage. Oh my God, trolling. Like you said, people were talking about live scope. Why anyone concerned about trolling? No, it's not a advantage to bass fishing, but every once in a while, someone might just motor for a mile or half a mile from point A to point B in the lake and say, why not throw out a troll and catch one? And we want to make everything in our rules. We want to make it easier for you guys to catch more fish, catch bigger fish, which equates to you having more fun, right? So why not allow trolling? All it does is promote your torpedo that got you that fish, or your pedal drive that got you that fish, or your paddle, whatever your propulsion is, or your batteries. So your products, those of you guys who are trying to do this at a little bit higher level, it just promotes, your X2 batteries. Bailey and I were sponsored by X2 as well. So it just promotes the things you use to get that fish caught that way. It just highlights all that. And it's an exciting. So I would love to see someone on stage say, man, I wouldn't have won this tournament if I didn't catch this 18.5-inch fish when I was trolling. And that's what got him the win. And then the next person was like, oh, I was back in the creek doing whatever. And the next person's like, I live scoped every one of those fish up. It's like, we love that. Think about if football took away the pass. Football would be all run plays. That would suck. It would be boring. And we don't want that. We want a diverse way, like so many diverse ways to win and to have it, to choose to potentially win, right? So that's why we're allowing 2 rods at once and trolling for those particular situations.
Now, Drew, real fast on that 2-rod deal, is that are you enforcing anything around that, or is that like the whole day they could use 2 rods?
The whole day they can use it. The whole day, yeah. Just like any other rule, and I'm sure that'll come up. But so fishing is one of those sports like golf. So there's a lot of stuff that's unenforceable. Excuse me. The only reason why you can't, like in football, they change rules and make new rules all the time, but they have 15 cameras and 10 referees and right there. In golf, you at least have your competitors right there close by that, you can still move your ball and they would never notice if you did it at the right time. But there's a lot of honor system in the sport. And that's where, when you do read our rules and you see what we're doing, there's definitely, like every major tournament trail, you got to be willing to comply to a truth verification test, a polygraph test and things like that. You will be prosecuted for fraud to the fullest extent of the law. We've all seen what happened to the walleye cheater. So trust me, it is not hard to, detect, especially when, before you ever get that far, you're going to get grilled from us, and not like in a bad way, negative way, in a I think everyone wants this kind of way to make sure those who, won the tournament or gotten the money or whatever are able to answer, the questions that we are going to ask them. We're going to ask them some questions, and, we'll get to the bottom and we'll see, we'll be able to tell. I mean, if we got to take something any further with a polygraph or anything like that, but
you got an interrogation room in the trailer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Lampshade, everything.
That's right. But if nothing else, like at our tournament, so speaking of rules, I don't think I've mentioned this yet. We're going to allow, maybe I did mention this, portaging is allowed as well. And so, accessing any, from any, public location, we actually have a a flow chart that can help you guys figure that out. But if you still need help, you can just message us. We'll help you out and make sure, you're accessing from somewhere legally. But basically, your Farwide app and your Onyx app show you what's public and private. And there's a few situations where it could be possibly construed or confusing for people. We've made a flow chart to help you guys follow that. It's pretty easy to follow based on how the land is listed, right? So you guys can learn about that more later in another video. But anyway, we'll make sure, everybody's on the up and up, and we take it very serious because this is still a tournament. There's still, money being won and prizes and things like that. So take that part very serious. And honestly, the fact that you can get out and portage and you can do 2 rods and all this other stuff, launch from wherever, it actually is much less gray area than ever because, back in football, when you tackled somebody low or you horse collar tackled, when there wasn't a rule against that, could they have broken the rules? Could they have been thrown a flag? Nope. The more stuff you put in, the more ways people can break rules or cheat. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's more in that point. Then there's, especially in our sport, there's no referees there. There's not even our competitors right there a lot of the time. So you actually, when you open things up like this, there's actually less gray area because if you see somebody from far away getting out of their kayak, you don't have to worry about it. They can do that in our tournament. No big deal. You see somebody with a second rod, see somebody trolling or questioning, maybe they were trolling. No worries. It's all good. We want you to catch more and bigger fish and have fun. But in the other tournament series, just another little sidebar here. I've talked to all the tournament directors, AJ, Steve Owen, Steve Fields from Hobie as well, Chad Hoover, talked to everybody and, told them how, look, we got 6 events. We're doing this fun, like low intimidation festival thing, kind of like the old boondoggles. And, we're hoping to just use this as a catalyst for the whole sport. Like the sort of the rising tide raises all ships sort of thing. That's not just, whatever lip server. That's true. Like, I really feel like this could bring a lot of people in together, especially with all we're doing with charity, the different sort of fun stuff we're having, the seminars, and bring people into the sport, kind of like that example of Reed earlier with Dustin Hoy coming to the river bassin. And you know what? We only require you to fish 3 of ours, 2 in a championship. That is plenty of weekends. We want you to go out and fish your Bassmaster, Hobie, KBF, and fish your regional stuff and local stuff. And by the way, local clubs, Josh Booth and Moyak is already scheduled an event to be a joint event right on top of our event at the same time, because I reached out to him already. And anybody that's local, when you see these stops, when we talk about where we're going to be here soon and when you see them, reach out to us. We want to help grow what you're doing locally, give you a moment on stage to talk about your local club on the theater stage. I've invited, AJ and Steve and Chad and Steve again, but and everybody, hey, if you guys get an off weekend and you're close by, the same way I'm still going to fish the big national stuff that I love to fish. Come on, come over and fish one, have fun. We'll give you a moment on stage to talk about what you guys have going on to help grow those trails and series as well, and to be just a catalyst for everybody. And again, but going back to the rules, like those series that I love and I fish because like you kind of, Bailey, man, we take it serious and we love that highest level of competition. And they are like the elite series, like the BPT, the Major League Fishing. Those series are at the highest level and they have rules the way they have rules for the reasons that they have. And that is awesome. But not everybody wants to fish at that level like Bailey and I might do. So this is kind of like for the others who want a different, just variety, something different out there to fish. And maybe the idea is that they'll work themselves. Maybe they fall in love with the sport and they work themselves up to those. Or, and I'm sure some people that fish, some anglers that fish those are going to fish some of these. That's just inevitable. Whether it's close by or, a new place they've never been to that's exciting and it's an off weekend or whatever. And that's just going to happen too. That's fine. We welcome everybody, because once you start getting hundreds of people spending $150 on an individual and 150 on team, yeah, you're gonna give away a lot of money to some folks for sure, and raise a lot of money for some good causes. So I think it's going to certainly be attractive to some folks that are looking solely at the monetary part of it and payback. So anyway, let's see. And we're going to get into these. The only thing I'm going to mention is the next thing before we just tell the locations is we're going to have some pretty big boundaries. We're going to let people go. Basically, it's an hour away from our tournament headquarters, which isn't that far, right? I mean, really that bad from a driving standpoint. But why in the world are we including so many river and creek miles and all the different lakes in the area? Well, it's for a few reasons. One, I mean, raise your hand if you like to fish alone? Like, you like being alone when you're fishing, especially in a tournament, or is it frustrating when people are all around you? Well, the bigger the boundaries, the better the odds of that happening, that everyone's going to find their own little thing. And two, man, if we have 2, 3, 4, 500 people in these tournaments, which we fully, expect and believe we can have, then it'll handle all those anglers and still give you a chance to like be isolated or a little bit, alone, and have enough fish where it, it all works out, and if it doesn't, you just go microbagging. But, the next thing is we're going to be back in like a few years. So if we come back in 3, 4 years, you guys had a good time, you love that area and all those waters. If the boundaries are so big, like you're between pre-fishing and the tournament day and a half, you're never going to be able to fish all that water. And now it's exciting to you to come back because you get to explore new water inside those boundaries that you haven't fished yet. Or you could still go back and fish your history, but it's just new stuff you get to go explore. And then the last reason is it allows for weather impacting the event. So there's still, when you have an hour on either side of your headquarters, the radius, so to speak, if your headquarters is the center of your radius, most likely it's hard for weather to affect all of those rivers and lakes to the point where we just got to cancel the whole thing. And that's the other reason why we have rivers and lakes. There's a reason why I didn't bring back River Bassin. I could have done that, but River Bassin had its issues with potentially a whole tournament just get flooded out or canceled. And that is hard to reschedule and change, and too much goes into that. So if we have lakes and bounds and rivers, well, you always have somewhere safe. If worst case, if the rivers are flooded and you don't feel comfortable, go fish the lake. So this tournament can still go on. So, all right. I think it's time, unless you guys have other questions. Yeah, chime in on the other stuff, because I'm sure we got some questions to answer. Right? I mean, it's got to be something.
We want to know locations.
Locations?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Oh, well, here's one real quick. Jake, are you starring these over here, the comments? Oh, I think you're muted. I don't hear you. He may be starting them. Anyway, Ken Wood had one. He said, will it be 2 separate series, or will those teams fishing also be competing against the individuals? Everyone has an individual score. So the teams are not competing against the individuals. Like, in other words, 2 people's combined 5 fish are not competing against somebody's an individual's 5 fish. Those 2 people that comprise of that 2-person team each have their individual 5 fish that are on the individual leaderboard. Does that make sense? So, but if somebody just entered the team division and say they, $75 a piece, so they had said, hey buddy, let's go fish. I don't have the money for the, $150 for the individual, and then another 75 to be in the individual and the team, which would be whatever that is, $225 total. And then let's just do the team, and that only costs them $75. Well, that person there will not be on the individual leaderboard. They only entered the team division. So they would only be listed as team, for lack of better, whatever examples here, just team Egbert Little. Okay. Little Egbert. It could be the opposite. Little Egbert. Okay. So that would be the only leaderboard those people are on. That makes sense. But yeah, if there's anything else that's starred over there in the comments, I'm sure
I think I got a lot of them that were important.
What? Starred or
starred, yeah.
Comment. Is there anything else we haven't touched on? Because I don't even know where I'm at in these comments. There's so many. I'm like up, down. Like, if you want to throw one up there, I'll answer them. In the meantime, we'll go over where.
Oh, there was one that asked about the mouth being open, and I don't think we're gonna have any changes on that. Like,
the mouth has got to be completely shut. But Van Tyne's asking if you can do separate bags for the micro bag. Yes, you can. You're going to be able to submit. You just submit your fish, and then wherever they end up, they end up. But obviously, if you submit a 5 or 6, it's going to be down there in the micro bag. You just submit them, and they're going to where they're supposed to go. There's not going to be a separate right now. I don't believe we're going to do a separate registration for someone who just want to enter the event for the micro bag division. You would have to enter the $150 individual division, and that gives you access to the micro bag prize pool, if that makes sense. So when you're in the 150, you just for the individual division, you just submit your fish. If they're big, they're big. They're small, and they go to the correct leaderboards. They just split. Dwayne said that he didn't think that'd be a problem. We'll get that figured out. So, all right, let's see. And that's, if you see any other ones, throw them up there. Just hit the button, throw them up, and I'm going to go and talk about where we're going to go. So we're heading first to places near and dear to my heart. We're starting on May 2nd and 3rd. So it's still a while before this thing even begins. This May of 2024, May 2nd and 3rd. And every single one of these events, we've talked about them being a festival feel and a festival format. Therefore, every one of them has a festival name associated with them. And it'll be t-shirts and all stuff sold and fun stuff. By the way, Charlie from Fish at Small is on here. He's doing some incredible work. And he is the one, if you guys go check out Fish at Small, Charlie is the one who helped me finalize this logo, the Kayak Adventure Series logo. I kind of told him a little bit about what I was looking for. And he's an awesome dude. He's 17 years old, high school student, started his own kayak fishing apparel brand, lifestyle brand for all of us. So go check it out, Fish at Small. And he's going to be at the events along with the Ashigan guys, the Smalley Talk podcast guys. And they're going to be there selling their stuff. And we're trying to just bring everyone together, make it a fun thing. But a festival name is what I was getting at. And the first one will be Shoalie Palooza in Georgia, where I grew up. Man, I cannot wait to take people to catch a bucket list fish, the shoal bass. Now, obviously, any black bass will still count. We will have some lakes and bounds where you will not be catching shoal bass because they do not live in lakes. They don't like it. But that's going to be in Georgia, May 3rd and 4th. And I'm excited to catch a shoal bass and see. I cannot wait to see how many people raise their hand when I, on the stage at the theater, how many people raise their hand when I ask them the question, who caught their first shoal bass, ever, or who caught their personal best shoal bass, and just see all the hands go up because it's just such a cool fish. And we're going to have the Flint River Keeper there and help support them. It's going to be a really, really fun event at the Shoalie Palooza. So get ready for that one. And the exact town is not listed there because that one is we're still working with a couple different communities that may be hosting us. So we will see which town. But there'll be multiple. I will tell you guys this, for the shoal bass fanatics out there, the ones who are local in Georgia and the surrounding area, we'll have multiple shoal bass rivers and bounds. So it's not going to be, I don't think we're going to do all three. And you guys know what I'm talking about by all three, but we're going to do two of the three. So obviously the Flint River's in the middle. So that's going to be one of them. So the next event is going to be Wild Whitehall. We're going to Whitehall, Michigan. Okay, Michigan, that's on June 7th and 8th. Michigan, guys, is unreal. I went there earlier this year. The fishing is incredible. Largemouth and smallmouth. And they both get big, so that's pretty insane. I wasn't expecting largemouth that big up there, but you can catch 6 and 7s up there, and they get big and big smallmouth. So it's going to be a little bit of a battle, which why on the logo here, the flyer, we got a largemouth and a smallmouth, sort of a battle between the two species and what's going to win. And if you'll notice around Whitehall, you guys can start, not putting boundaries up at the website. It's not going live, like I said, until September. But if you guys want to go to Whitehall, you can just kind of start to figure out. We have an hour you can fish, an hour away. So look at all those lakes that feed into the east side of Lake Michigan. Look at all those bays with lakes, White Lake, Muskegon Lake, all those, the Grand River, all those lakes north and south of Whitehall, Michigan that flow in there. And you're not going to be able to fish in the main Lake Michigan proper. It's pretty dangerous out there, especially on that side of that lake. So, but all those lakes that are right there before the shipping canal into the main lake and all the way upstream into all the rivers and creeks in the area that feed those are the rivers we're going to be fishing. You're, again, Grand River, White, Muskegon, all those. There's other ones north as well inbound. So that's exciting. And you're going to catch a lot of fish. That's why we're going to places. You're going to catch a ton of fish, like a ton of fish during pre-fishing and the tournament, because there's just northern fisheries just have the numbers. Living up here now and following the, Bailey shaking his head like he gets it, like Cayuga and all the Finger Lakes near you. The northern fisheries, look at any Bassmaster tournament. The guys love to go north. And then when you go north in the summer, it's hot down south anyway. Let's get cooler weather, fish that just feed up constantly. So any comments on some north stuff there, Bailey? See you shaking your head.
They're more fun because we have less brain cells.
Yeah. Well, and maybe they don't get
Summer
pressured.
fish are more fun.
That's right. They get less pressure because a lot of the folks up north are fishing for walleye and pike and muskie. I don't know, other perch, other species too. They're just focused on trout and steelhead and so many other things they can choose from that it just doesn't get the pressure. And the season's shorter, so it has a natural protection. The fisheries have a little bit of natural protection around them, and there's a lot of good grass and stuff like that. That it's not sprayed like the lakes down south, the man-made lakes down south, because of the recreation purposes. It just gets to just live naturally and grow. So, wild whitehall, that is exciting, guys. And then the next one we're going to go to is Ozarkana. It's Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Cannot wait for this tournament. We took a visit there. Jake and I did earlier this year. And it's going to be another battle between smallmouth and largemouth. I'll tell you that right now. And Poplar Bluff, Missouri, I'm saying the word Missouri, and people are like, oh, man, that's way far away. It's 3.5 hours from Nashville. This is the far, and you can see the pin on the map, except for that very first one on Trolleypalooza, the pin where I have the Kayak Adventure Series pin in that graphic is actually where that town is. A little sneaky there. Anyway, that's actually where the town is. So that's kind of where it is in Missouri. It's not far at all from most everybody. It's kind of in a lot of this Maine bass fishing central area. So it's not too bad for being whatever in the central U.S. at all. So that's going to be fun. Again, smallmouth versus smallmouth in the Ozark crystal clear blue Ozark streams and the lakes, Lake Wapapello, Clearwater Lake, those are in bounds. Duck Creek Conservation Area, places like that. And Duck Creek Conservation Area is actually down in the Mississippi River floodplain, because Poplar Bluff, Missouri is has a name to it, or the town is known as I guess it's their slogan or something. It's known as the gateway to the Ozarks. So that's kind of where the base of the mountains start. And then below that's the Mississippi River floodplain south and to the east. So all those rivers and lakes and more flat water oxbows have a more feels like a warmer climate, largemouthy feel, not as
They're
much
more
smallmouth.
muddy.
Yeah, more murky. Yeah, spotted bass, stuff like that. So that's going to be like, pick your poison. Do I want to go to Ozark, river or creek, or lake, or do I want to go to more of the floodplain, river, creek, or lake? And that can just depend. You could be frogging. Someone could be throwing at pads frogging in Duck Creek Conservation Area, and somebody else could be, using the stealthiest little stuff in Clearwater, trying to, finesse some fish to eat. So it's crazy the differences you can have there. And again, all three species are going to play. Your spotted bass, your smallmouth, and especially the spotted bass in the microbag division.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really big in the St. Francis, which is in bounds. There's some big spotted bass in there. I caught almost 19 back in June. So
wow, getting the
and
juice.
it's an actual spotted bass, like a Kentucky spotted bass, not an Alabama.
That's right. So that's the Current River is the farthest to the west. You got Current, you got the St. Francis, the Black. There's one called the Castor River and Hubble Creek. Those are the kind of the main rivers and creeks there. And then the lakes I already mentioned. So let's go to the next one. Slide 4 is the Fiesta on the Susky. Yeah, we kind of had to go to the Susquehanna, but we're going way far away than we've ever really been before. We're going up to the north branch of the Susquehanna in Towanda, Pennsylvania on August 9th and 10th. So that's going to be fun. Just exploring some new water. And what's cool about that area is right at the New York, Pennsylvania border, which is where Towanda is, really close to the New York border. The river splits, and it's the Chemung River going to the west, and the north branch of the Susquehanna is to the east. I think it's Binghamton or whatever that's over there as it goes that direction. But anyway, you can fish either one of those, and all the creeks that flow into the Susquehanna, those are all going to be in bounds, and you can go all the way down south. I want to say, I don't remember. It's a long ways south. I can't remember which creek it is. It's one of the Pennsylvania Boat Commission launches is our launch boundary. So all the way to the downstream on the Susquehanna. That's going to be fun. There are no lakes in bounds for this tournament. There are no lakes in the area to even put in bounds, or else we would have. But you're going to the Susquehanna, you're not going to be going to fish a lake. Okay, let's face it. So, and we already have established in kayak fishing, Susquehanna is its own unique animal. Jeff Little, you excited about that event, dude?
I am. It's a different fishery up there than it is further south in the Harrisburg to Sunbury area. As you move up the North Branch, it's very much it's less ledgy, and your bridge pilings matter a lot. It's a really great crankbait fishery up that way. It's just it's structurally different. If you're good at the ledge and trench and braided island system further south, you're gonna have to relearn going up this way. It's still a super strong ecosystem that produces a lot of 18 and 19-inch fish. It's very good, but the layout of it structurally is, if you're expecting it to be the same as, say going to Clemson Island or Sealands Grove or wherever you go that a lot of the tournaments have been on, that ain't it. It is structurally different. And I think this is going to be a cool thing to get people to branch out a little bit from where we've all been going for a lot, which is a tremendous fishery because it's managed in a way that it is catch and release.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the North Branch up that way, my buddy Chris Gorsuch, who's a kayak, he was a kayak fishing guide for a while, but he's a jet boat guide. He has a camp up that way, and it's always fun to watch him, start posting big fish and looking around being like, "You're not home," and I'll call him and be like, you were at camp." He's like, "Yeah, it was a fun trip up to the North Branch." So yep,
letting it out the bag.
Man. Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. And also, it was named, the North Branch was named the Pennsylvania River of the Year in 2022. So it's the reigning river of the year. I don't know what all the criteria is, but it's a big deal in that state for sure, because that state's got a ton of incredible rivers. And for them to pick that one, it's pretty cool. We're gonna get to go see it. And I haven't really talked a ton about the theaters, but we're going to be at the Keystone Theater there, and it's incredible. So you guys can look that up. You guys will see pictures of all the theaters. You guys will be in for the awards at all these places. I'll backtrack. We'll be at the Rogers Theater in Arkansas. I do want to mention those theaters if you guys want to check them out.
Can we talk about just the creativity of the logo? The overall shape is a Google Maps pin drop. I'm looking at that saying, "Yep, that's what it is." And you alluded to that. Yeah. But the word adventure, that's a theater marquee.
That's true. I can. That's right. It's on the top right of our screen there. Yeah, that's a theater marquee. Exactly.
It's creative. It's a good logo.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, buddy. No, it came out really well, and Charlie did a really good job as well. So
the Scooby-Doo vibe makes me feel like I'm going back to my childhood.
Yeah. The next one, guys, this is your last regular season event, and it's going to be the Wisconsin River Fest. And that is just north of Madison, Wisconsin, in Sauk Prairie, Wisconsin. A really cool community right there where the river kind of makes this cool bend. And because of where they're placed, you actually can get a lot of river miles in with just going, straight north up to kind of that Wisconsin Dells area, just north of there. And then south downstream, we'll cut, I don't know where the boundary is off the top of my head, but it's way downstream from Sauk Prairie. And the river there is a little bit more sandy, but the Wisconsin River, guys, it is a mini Mississippi River, upper Mississippi. It's a mini La Crosse in some ways, but because there's not like the same type of dams they have in La Crosse, this is more like a free flowing, from the town downstream, it's like sandier, and then upstream you got Lake Wisconsin, which is one of the lakes in balance, and then there's another dam that for some reason that doesn't have a name of the quote unquote lake above it. It's just still the Wisconsin River, but it's kind of a lake portion of the Wisconsin River around Wisconsin Dells. But there are a lot of giant fish, both species, both of them in the lakes and the rivers there, that will impress you guys for sure. It's going to be an incredible place that we're probably going to really expose to the world. I mean, Jake, you saw. I mean, we were.
This is the one I'm most excited for. Actually, I mean, the town itself was one of the coolest towns.
Yeah, it was cool. We went there together.
Right on the river.
Right on the river.
It's definitely going to be, if you fish the main Wisconsin River, it'll be an adventure. Because it looked like, your true river experience. But based on just what I was hearing, there's some giant smallmouth in that
Oh
area.
yeah,
Like giant.
giants.
I'm talking like New York size, like 6, 7s.
Yeah,
So.
they're there, and same with largemouth. It's going to be wild. And so I'm excited. And like you said, the town, we're going to be at a place called Vintage Brewing for the opening ceremonies. And it is right on the river. It's unreal. Our closing festival will be there too. It's get this, right across the street from the brewery, like right there in the same parking lot. Vintage Brewery is gigantic. So we can all fit there no matter how many people are there. Overlooking the river. It's gorgeous. And then on top of that, right next to us is Wilderness Fish and Game, which is a very big outdoor hunting and fishing store that has everything you need. Entire rows of Z-Man, have everything you need right there. Yep, all the stuff, not just. And then you've got next to it, like joined with it in the same plaza, literally connected to it, is Riviera Pizza and Bowling Alley. So if you can imagine, I think I forgot to mention this earlier. Every single location has a designated after party place we're going to as well, whether it's a brewery or this bowling alley, pizzeria, which is where, we're going to have an after party at this event. So, the party's going to keep going. And remember, it's Saturday night. We're ending, so there's no reason to get back, and you can drive home on Sunday. Let's go celebrate. Let's go party, have some fun, and make some memories off the water as much as we do on the water at this series. So that's what I'm excited about for that Wisconsin River Fest. Is that, it's just right on the river. The kayak demos, the Toyota demos, it's all going to be just kids playing, and it's just going to be fun, man. I can't wait. So that is, I have one more slide to show you guys, and then that'll wrap up. I'm not going to say where the championship is, because it's still actually between two locations, but it will be centralized, and we will announce right now the name of what our championship event is going to be called. And when I say championship, you do not have to qualify to fish this event. This is an open championship event, and we've come up with a name. We're going to call it sort of like the Bassmaster has a classic, and Major League Fishing's got their red crest. So we're going to have one that plays on this festival theme and feel. And I can just see somebody in 10 years saying to somebody else, remember at Broodstock 1 when we were laughing up until 2, 3 in the morning and whatever happened, just telling stories about the original Broodstock. So Broodstock is the name. Obviously, if you guys are fishermen, you may have heard that term before, where they spawn the largest bass that they shock up together to create the biggest bass possible when they restock. They spawn them and then restock all the lakes and rivers. So Broodstock is when they pull the biggest one. So this is insinuating it's going to be a lot of fish, hopefully some big fish at these events, of course, and just the biggest, best event, good time. And it kind of plays on the Woodstock, you know what I mean? The stock is on the end. So Jeff, I know you're into that. You notice the marquee on the logo. So certainly you got to respect the Broodstock for our championship event. So
it's cool. Are we saying a date, or that comes down to
that I'll say the date. It's the first weekend of October. That's when it's going to be. I didn't put it up there, but that's when it's going to be, like, most likely, unless the tourism department, one of them says they can't do that, but it sounds like that's probably going to work. So first weekend of whatever that is, probably 3rd, 4th, something like that of October. So just when the fall, starting to, the fall bite's starting to kick in, the nights are getting cooler and the days are getting shorter. The bass are kind of getting the feed going. Plus, if we can maybe move that but if we start a little earlier the next year, because like I said, we're starting in May this year. We may start earlier next year somewhere else, further south or something, who knows. But we can move our championship broodstock to a northern fishery at some point. You know what I mean? By ending it in a September, when it's not, where there's no risk of it all of a sudden being crazy, cold or anything. So that's it, man. That is that's the deal. That's the Kayak Adventure Series. And there's a lot more, obviously, in the rules and detail we'll talk about in other podcasts, but we want to at least get it out there. So we got to hit some questions before we end, I'm sure.
I did star a couple questions. Someone asked when the date
click the show button, if you can hit that or find that show button. Yeah, perfect. Now we can all see them. What were the dates for the Michigan event? Well, I guess I could have
7th, 8th of June.
There you go. There was one too that is a Jeff question. Someone was asking about that section of the Susky.
Similar to Western PA rivers. Yeah, I mean, I would think it would be similar to some of them. I mean,
is that like the Allegheny?
Allegheny would be similar to some of the upper Allegheny, I'm sure. Actually, I didn't. It's crazy Phil asked this question, because I actually measured the upper Allegheny River width? Because I was curious because I fished there as well before, and I've never fished the North Branch where we're going to be. And I was curious if it was about the same size, and I went across the river and just get an approximate width, and they are about the same size. I mean, and if you go to that Oil City, Franklin, or north of there on the Allegheny, the North Branch is about the same size. It's about a quarter mile across, a little bit less than a quarter mile across. So that was a good one. Any other ones that we want to?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So like someone asked about the public waters as feeder creeks, but feeder creeks are in play. I mean, they're part of
It's
the
all in
watershed.
play. If there's a dam and it's a dam that's just spilling over, running the river, we will mark it if we do not want you to go up above that dam. But if it's just a river low head dam, go above it, fish above it, below it, whatever. It's a creek or river, a tributary feeding into it. Think about it like a trunk of a tree. We're giving you the core bodies of water. We're listing the ones that are the trunks of the tree, and everything that comes off all those branches and the small branches that go to the leaves, that's all good to go. And if you have to go over a small little dam, like, we know they're there. Trust me, I've seen every inch of these boundaries. I know they're there. If I wanted it to be off bounds, I will put something there saying you cannot go past it. There, that way you guys all know, ooh, there's nothing saying I can't go up above this dam. I mean, and if it's a big, what's that?
I was going to say, you'll run into a lot of these in the Ozark rivers, especially the low water dams, but a lot of them will have portage areas where it's actually like marked like portage area.
Right. And you won't, yeah, I mean, you can go up if you're going up or down, but
sometimes you could just go under them if the water is on them.
Yeah, if it's just like a little bridge or something. But if anything's that there's a difference in a dam that's a hydro dam and one that the water goes on, like eventually a feeder creek's going into a farm pond, right? You're going to get up to some little teeny creek when you're microbagging, and you're going to see, okay, there's a dam here and there's a farm pond. Well, that's different. The rules will explain it. That's a dam that's not spilling over. That's a dam that's going through a pipe that's under. So but if it's just a low head dam, it's just flowing the river over. If it's a big enough to have a quote unquote lake name above it, and it's that big, it'll be listed as a core body of water, just so everyone knows. But if it's just some teeny little whatever, like, we're not going to list it. We want you guys, we don't want to list everything on the map, because I want you guys to have a lot of just fun during the winter, like exploring your maps and doing map study and investigating and Google. It's just satellite scouting is one of the funnest things. I mean, honestly, about kayak fishing, it's one of the things I love. The anticipation leading up to the tournaments I fish is more fun than the tournaments half the time. Just scouting it, right? And dropping pins and waypoints that I want to go explore once I get there. We want you guys to figure that out. That's why we only want to list the main core trunks, right? The core bodies of water. And then you guys find the little sneaky stuff if you want to go find it where it is off those trunks. And the reason why we didn't do a radius is kind of because we didn't want, then it gets weird. Like, well, is this little pond over here public at this park, or is this public? Is this just all public water? We didn't want to do that, because then it gets a little bit dicey with things like that. So we wanted to tell you guys, here's your core bodies of water, go run with it. So, all right, let's see. What's the next one you want me to answer, or let's talk about?
So someone asked about the micro bag and normal bag counting towards the same limit, and the answer to that is obviously yes, but you probably don't want that.
Yeah. I think I answered that one too. I think it was Ryan Van Tyne. So,
and then someone asked about like the Wisconsin, is it Sauk City or Prairie to Sauk? But it's both. Yeah, it's the same.
We actually found out that they're both those communities are considered Sauk Prairie. Like, together they're called Sauk Prairie. If you look on Google Maps, it'll come up Sauk Prairie, but it'll also come up the other two there, Sauk City and Prairie to Sauk. So, but we'll be there, and that's exciting. So anything else we got to hit before? I know you guys, we've gone a long time. So I'm scrolling back up just to make sure we didn't miss it. What about any other closing comments for you guys? We'll start wrapping it up. And Bailey, Jeff.
No, just can we kick someone off a podcast? Because Jake Harshman's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
I haven't been paying attention, so I don't know what he's doing. Yeah. I saw that comment about the eyebrow. I did see that. That was funny.
No, man, I'm really excited for it. I really like the implementation of day and a half and obviously 2 different days on the calendar week, that it's your best 5. So I think that's going to make for some interesting strategy from a tournament standpoint. For people that maybe aren't on numbers but are on size, that can budget, another few hours in their day to try to swing one more. But I think it's going to create for some cool strategy amongst tournament anglers for this one.
It's also something where if you miss Friday, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know, can't win, because like you could not make Friday and then like make it to Saturday and you could win. Like
Right.
let's say
If you
like
can't even
you
fish Friday,
can't, yeah, you can't make that. I mean, it would feel bad obviously, but like if you absolutely wanted to be there and you could only make Saturday, like you still get a full day to fish. So
yeah, that's true. I do like that fact that you can just. I think someone's going to do that. Some tournament, someone's going to win just Saturday because they couldn't make Friday, and we are going to allow people. Speaking of that, we are going to allow. And I've thought about this long and hard. I think we're just going to try it because it's been well received, and I've mentioned it to people in the past. But we are going to let people. We're going to limit the pre-fishing to four days in the 2 weeks prior leading up to the tournament, and I don't want to get into all the details about that now. Like, oh, how are you going to enforce that, whatever. But I mean, you can't enforce any of the pre-fishing limitations we've had in any tournaments. So just don't worry about that. But the reason I'm doing that is because we want to encourage those folks that you get to pick which 4 days within the 2 weeks. So if you're working, you got kids and family and all this stuff going on in life and busy, and we're trying to make sure everyone has a solid chance to win. And the anglers that are already the best in the world, the PKAs, if you want to, if you ever heard that term, professional kayak angler, that have potentially have some more time to be on the water and pre-fish, they're already better, even if they just had 3 days. You know what I mean? Then you give them more, it just increases, their chances, right? So what we want to do is limit it so there's at least some sort of leveling. So maybe you only get 2 days or 3 days to pre-fish or 1 day, whatever. At least somebody else only has an extra day or two than you know what I mean? And then by allowing it to be the 4 days leading up to the event, within 2 weeks of the event, you can pick 4 days to fish. Well, now that opens up everyone's schedule. Let's say you live 2 hours away, 3 hours away. You can go fish Friday and Saturday, Saturday and Sunday, the weekend that pre-fishing window opens, to pick 4 days. You can fish Saturday and Sunday, go back to work, make it home, never miss it, have to take a day off of work, go again the next Saturday and Sunday, and then just roll in right there and fish on Friday, and you never didn't even take off any days of work except for that one Friday. And potentially, because you live that close, an hour, 2, 3 hours away, you didn't even have to take off a day of work really on Friday. You could have just rolled in with a half day or something off of work and rolled in and on the water and fish. So that's the reason why we're doing that. Just want to kind of level it a little bit so that everyone kind of has a fair shot. If you are someone that has the time to do it, a lot of people are going to roll into town and fish Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that's going to be their 4 days. And some people are just going to do Thursday. Some people are going to consider Friday, like we've talked about, the half day afternoon fishing as their second practice day, even though it's the fish are going to count, but it just kind of levels it a little bit. So we'll talk more about that in other podcasts and stuff as well. So all right, any other payback structure? I mean, it's going to be typical payback structure. We'll hold back some money for the winner of the championship. And by the way, the championship with the AOI, it's considered a championship because it's the champions for the AOI folks, team of the year, angler of the year, that kind of stuff. But it's an open tournament. It's an open broodstock, event. So it's kind of a championship just because it's crowning the angler of the year and the team of the year. But the payback structure will be like a somewhere around 80 something %. And then the rest will be taken for holding back money for the championship and administrative fees and stuff like that, overhead that we've got to cover. This is not cheap. As if you've listened to this whole podcast and we've talked about executive producers and film crews and TV shows and all this stuff, you probably know it's not none of this is free. So, but it's all worth it for a good time and for everybody. So we're going for it. All right, guys. Well, any other closing comments for any of you guys? And
just looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a fun time. I think the in particular the seminars is going to be a huge value to people that just come and attend and maybe want to learn. Hey, I want to improve my my scouting game, or I want to improve my paddling skills in whitewater, or whatever it is. Like, I think we're going to do some things that are that really help educate people that might, say, "Oh, I'm not a river angler." Like I hear that and I'm like, why not? And I think it's because of all the things that they feel they don't know. And I will say this much: there is a movement, and this is related but not. The American Canoe Association is starting to certify instructors with an kayak angler certification. I know Fletch Griffin, he was on this. He just certified. He's an ACA, kayak fishing instructor. So is Chuck Earls and Jameson Redding. So the skill set and the formality of educating, a lot of these moving water specific kayak fishing skills is critical. I did it for 10 years as an ACA instructor. It's finally coming around again. I think ACA came back to kayak fishing on kayak fishing's terms, and it's there's Russell Johnson. He actually certified way back when as well. So, but that education component, I think, is something that's going to provide a lot of value to people that are, that just want to learn, want to learn more than just compete. This is way bigger than competition. It's community and education and just fun, and I think that's the core of it. It's fun.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm excited about the seminars for sure. We got the venues to pull it off, and there's a lot of reasons to come be a part of the weekend, not just to win X number of dollars and money and compete. So that's what we're looking forward to bringing the whole family. That's exciting. People can make memories and just have fun and laugh together. And that's what life's about. Is more of this is more important than anything else. So it's just we're just lucky we get to do the fishing and all that stuff, and have our cake and eat it too. So I'm excited. All right, guys. Well, Jake, any last comments? Are you good or?
No, I think we've said all there is to say. I answered a lot of questions. So.
Yeah, or I said all there is to say. Sorry, I had to kind of obviously explain it all since I kind of created it. But thank you guys for consulting me on it, and everyone I've talked to that's listening and watching. Really appreciate you guys, and we'll I guess see you on the next one, and you'll learn more. Now just follow along on the Instagram. We actually just started the Kayak Adventure Series YouTube, and I tried to connect it to go live there. Not that it matters because no one's subscribed yet, but it takes 24 hours to for them to let you do it live. So tomorrow at 11 a.m. will be when we're allowed to go live on that channel. So it is up. You can subscribe to that channel. You can subscribe or follow along on Instagram. And Jake, you made a Facebook page, so that's cool. You could go follow us on Facebook. And then I'm sure we're going to go on a whole car wash, if you will, of podcasts. Alex Relic says going to have me on. We'll do some Paddle and Fin. We'll go on the Catch podcast. Anything I'm going on in the future, we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, a large majority of the time. So excited. Thank you guys for tuning in, everyone who followed along and is still here at this point. And we will catch you guys. Oh, Bailey, I did see your thing, by the way. Minnesota state law, you cannot use 2 rods. So we will make sure that is not a rule. Any states that have a rule, you cannot use 2 at a time. We will make sure of that for sure. And you never know. We may go to Minnesota. It's some really good stuff up there. So we're excited to go to faraway places. You guys follow along, come fish it. We have good attendance. We have a good time, and everyone loves it. We will take you guys to some of the wildest, craziest places and places that are further away than we've ever been. But I promise you, the extra 4 or 5 hours of driving, it will be worth it. Because like many of the guys on this podcast live stream right now, I'm kind of a nerd and a nut, and I've map scouted and studied almost every river, stream, creek, and lake in this country. And there are some incredible places that I cannot wait to have you guys come with us and chase the wild. And that is our slogan for the Kayak Adventure Series. If we haven't said that yet, come chase the wild with us. So catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks.